Hi, PerspectiveWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Wednesday, August 12th. A lot to talk about this morning. First, we'll take a look at the tropical scene, and then we'll kind of focus in on a heavy rain threat for the mid-Atlantic region, much of the eastern U.S. really over the next several days as a stalled out frontal system acts as a conduit to lots of moisture that could ride up to the north and east over the next few days, right along that frontal boundary zone that again will stall out in the mid-Atlantic region. Here's the latest look at the tropical scene. Right now we have a new tropical depression, number 11. It is very likely to become the 10th named tropical system of the Atlantic Basin tropical season. It would become Josephine, and it looks like it could continue to move on a west to west-northwest track over the next several days as a tropical storm. An outside chance that it gains enough intensity to become a hurricane at some point. However, its longer-term prospects are certainly questionable. There are certainly signs of some increasing wind shear as it gets into this region right here over the next several days. But this is kind of dangerously close here to becoming a real threat for the southeastern U.S., so it's obviously something we will monitor over the next several days. Again, it should have enough favorable conditions over the next few days to become Tropical Storm Josephine, maybe even an outside chance that it reaches a weak hurricane status somewhere in this time period here, maybe over the weekend, but then its longer-term prospects are questionable as the models indicate there will be increasing amounts of wind shear, like southwesterly wind shear, which tend to disrupt the overall circulation. But it is also going over some very warm waters and getting awfully close to where it becomes a real concern for the southeast U.S. and, of course, the Bahamas, something we will monitor closely over the next several days. And here's the latest visible satellite imagery loop of Tropical Depression 11. Again, it should become Tropical Storm Josephine over the next 24 to 48 hours or so. A little bit of an organized system right now. Again, it's not that strong, not strong enough to be a named tropical storm yet. Maximum sustained winds right now about 35 miles per hour, so it won't take much to become a named tropical storm. Moving to the west, maybe a little bit to the north of west at around 15 miles per hour. But again, fairly organized system here, very likely to become the 10th named system of the Atlantic Basin season. And again, it would be Tropical Storm Josephine. Josephine, certainly a little easier to pronounce than the last one, which was Isaias. But again, very likely to become Tropical Storm Josephine over the next day or two. Well, let's move away from the tropics now, get back to the eastern part of the U.S. We have very, very high moisture levels throughout the atmosphere in the mid-Atlantic region, all the way up into New England, down across the southeast U.S. I wanted to start off by showing this particular current analysis of precipitable water. Basically what we're seeing here is 2+ inches down across the D.C. metro region, up across New Jersey, and this is very high precipitable water. And what this is telling us is that if you have a mechanism to squeeze out the moisture in the atmosphere, you could get as much as a couple inches of rainfall. And indeed, it really is indicative of some very moist air, especially in this region right here that's shaded a little bit a different color green, all along the eastern seaboard from New England down across the mid-Atlantic region, really all across the I-95 corridor. This is telling us we have a tremendous amount of moisture out there, and indeed we do have a mechanism that can squeeze out the moisture. We have a stalling out frontal system, and several waves of low pressure will ride up along that frontal boundary zone over the next few days, all providing some lift in the atmosphere, and that in turn tends to squeeze out all the available moisture. So bottom line here, any shower or thunderstorm that falls over the next few days in the D.C., Philadelphia, New York City corridor, or anywhere in the mid-Atlantic region can produce some heavy rainfall. And of course, we have some very well saturated grounds after the heavy rainfall of last week with the associated with the tropical storm. So flash flooding is a concern in this wet weather pattern that is developing here. And again, it looks like it'll be a wet weather pattern from today, not only through the end of the work week, but it looks like right through the upcoming weekend as well, and very, very high moisture levels in the atmosphere. Well, what kind of rainfall amounts are we potentially looking at here over the next 5 days? This is a forecast from NOAA for the total rainfall amounts over the next 5-day period between this morning, Wednesday morning, and Monday morning. And this is quite substantial rainfall amounts right here, let's say from Philadelphia all the way down to the Gulf region, and really the southern half of Pennsylvania all the way down to the Gulf states. Some areas you have the purple here, which is 2+ inches of rain, even more than that, 3-4 inches of rain in the hills of western Virginia over the next several days. And again, this is a reasonable forecast in my opinion, given the pattern that's setting up. We have the moisture available, high levels of moisture. We have the lifting mechanism between a stalled out frontal boundary zone, and there will be areas of low pressure riding right along that frontal boundary zone over the next few days. So we have numerous rounds of showers and thunderstorms for places like DC, Philadelphia, New York City over the next several days. Well, what's out there right now in terms of rainfall? There is a batch of decent shower activity, maybe even an embedded rumble of thunder or two in and around the DC metro region right now. That will tend to die out over the next couple of hours. Then we'll look upstream, and I expect to see an increase in radar echoes upstream, let's say in the higher elevation regions of the mid-Atlantic region during the midday, early afternoon hours. That coverage of the radar echoes should not only intensify but expand in total aerial extent, and again a good chance of afternoon showers and possible heavy thunderstorms in and around the I-95 corridor. Any shower today or thunderstorm this afternoon and evening can certainly result in some heavy rainfall and possible flash flooding conditions. Well, let's now walk through the surface forecast maps from last night's operational run of the GFS at 6C, and we'll see we're kind of stuck in a rut from Pennsylvania all the way down south to the Gulf region. A very wet weather pattern developing today, unfolding today, and continues right through the upcoming weekend, even into New York City. Concern for some flash flooding, as there will likely be some heavy rainfall that far north as well, but an even better chance in the, let's say, southern Pennsylvania across to Virginia, West Virginia, for some heavy rainfall over the next couple of days. And we begin the day even missing out right now on some rainfall across the DC metro region, but again, this area should expand in coverage by the later in the afternoon and evening. There's very likely to be some heavy thunderstorms, and the problem with these showers and thunderstorms, not only today, tonight, but tomorrow as well, in terms of potential flash flooding, is that they will be slow movers. So you could have some torrential rainfall amounts, given the fact that there's so much moisture in the atmosphere, and these showers and thunderstorms will very likely be rather slow movers over the next 24 to 48 hours or so, again increasing the chance for flash flooding conditions. Let's move forward here in the overnight hours, and then pretty much a repeat performance along the I-95 corridor region, much of the Mid-Atlantic region. This is the forecast map for tomorrow afternoon. We talked about several areas of low pressure riding up along a stalled out frontal boundary zone. You can kind of see the isobar pattern right here that kind of takes a dip right here. This is really where that stalled out frontal boundary zone will lie as of tomorrow afternoon. Low pressure along it, and you don't need strong low pressure this time of the year to result in some heavy rainfall. A weak low pressure area, but with all the available moisture in the atmosphere, it could squeeze out a lot of rainfall. And again, 2, 3, 4 inches of rain possible at any location over the next 24 to 48 hours or so. One other thing I want to point out here, notice this high pressure area building into southeastern Canada by later tomorrow. that actually will contribute to a cool down in the I-95 corridor as we approach the weekend, head into the latter part of the work week. We'll have highs today, maybe still at 90 degrees in some of the urban areas in D.C., maybe into Philadelphia as well. By Friday, Saturday, closer to 80 degrees, thanks in large part to this high pressure that will continue to build into southeastern Canada. By the time we get into the end of the week, there's high pressure right here by Friday morning, situated in the southeastern part of Canada, contributing to a cool down. And again, high temperatures on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Lower 80s for the most part in D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, along with a continuing chance of showers and thunderstorms, especially during the afternoon and evening hours. Here we are Friday night, high pressure up across eastern Canada. Again, a lot of green showing up, especially from southern Pennsylvania on down south, and that threat will continue. And this high, if it does anything over the weekend, it strengthens, and it kind of drops a little bit to the south, so it'll have an increasing influence in the Friday, Saturday, Sunday time period. Again, that should result in high temperatures closer to 80 degrees by the weekend in the urban corridor here along I-95, as compared with 90 degrees this afternoon. Here we have another low pressure system over the Ohio Valley on Saturday, and again a continuation of the unsettled conditions, maybe some heavy rainfall, high pressure along the southeastern Canadian coastline here, and low pressure over the Ohio Valley, and continuation of rainfall as of Sunday afternoon. Here we go, low pressure right along that stalled out frontal boundary zone as late as early Monday morning. So a very unsettled and wet weather pattern now setting up for much of the eastern U.S., especially from Pennsylvania, New Jersey, maybe New York City on south to the Gulf states. Several inches of rain possible in any one of these areas over the next several days. Any shower or thunderstorm that forms can produce some heavy rainfall, and given the already well-saturated grounds, flash flooding is indeed a concern over the next few days. Meanwhile, out in the tropics, looks like tropical depression number 11 should become tropical storm Josephine over the next day or two. We'll continue to monitor it as we get towards the weekend and into the early part of next week. That's it for now. For PerspectiveWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.